What is going on, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Frugan here with a second Vault Hunter that we're going to go through, and this time it is Harlowe, the Gravitar. So she very reminiscent of, to me, Maya from Borderlands 2. With Maya's phase lock. Even though Harlowe is not a siren like Maya, her skill very reminiscent to me of Maya. So, if you've been with me throughout this entire thing, we've gone through a brief overview of all four. Now we're going in depth a little bit more on each of the other characters. We've already done Amon. Couldn't think of his name for a second. Holy crap, I just did the video. We've already gone through Amon. Now we're going through Harlowe, and then after that we'll go through Rafa and Vex. So, let's go through Harlowe and see what we got with her. So, Harlowe is a former model and combat scientist driven by the need to understand how things work. While this initially made her an outcast amongst her Trant relatives, she's a relative Trant. Okay, got it. Harlowe used her intellect to bring new tech and gadgetry to the battlefield as a Vault Hunter. Harlowe's brilliance is apparent in everything she does, but so is her enthusiasm and love of life. Harlowe brings everything to the fight, including her sunny disposition. Always ready to give a beat down, her spirit can't be beat. Using her collection of clever contraptions, Harlowe has a huge impact, whether she's crowd controlling any ice and radiation damage or enhancing her allies' survivability. Her Chroma Accelerator unleashes an unstable energy pocket of ice damage that chills everything in its wake. She can isolate priority targets by suspending them in stasis bubble created by her Halo Accelerator, and she can buff allies and freeze enemies using an area of effect fluctuator. The stasis bubble is what very much was reminiscent of me with Maya's phase lock. Especially with Maya, you could do, if I remember correctly, you could do different elements with it as well. Like most sirens are usually one. Lilith was fire. Lilith was 1, Maya was Borderlands 2, Amara was 3. I didn't really play Amara with her fist. I don't remember what kind of elements, but I remember with Maya, you could do different elements with her phase lock. And so the stasis ball with the Halo Accelerator, very reminiscent of that to me anyway. When we watched the video and everything, it was like that. So we're not going to go through this. We've already gone through this. It's the same spiel for all of them. Alright, so her hunter trait. Whenever Harlowe uses her action skills on enemies, those enemies become entangled. Entangled enemies share a portion of gun damage and skill damage with all other entangled enemies. Alright, we got her action skills, which is the Chroma Accelerator with a creative burst. Unstable pocket. For her accelerator, the unstable energy pocket passes through enemies and deals ice damage to all enemies it passes. Pressing action causes the unstable energy to explode and deal heavy radiation damage. And then we got 0 point. Press the action skill to use Harlowe's Hollow Accelerator. Place an enemy in stasis for duration. This is the one where very reminiscent of that. Enemies immune to stasis take damage instead. Pressing action skill again causes the enemy in stasis to be slammed into the ground in the direction Harlowe is facing and creates a small explosion. Retriggering stasis has a cooldown. Cool. And you got Flux Generator, which is the Cosmic Brilliance. Harlowe throws her Flux Generator in front of her, which projects an energy field, dealing ice damage over time and entangling enemies. Allies inside the energy field gain Overshield. You can pick it up again and toss it. So which is really cool. You can pick it up and throw it. Pick it up and throw it. Alright, you pick it. Alright, let's move it over here. Enemies over here. Alright, let's move it over here. Right. Allies over here. Alright, we'll move it over here. I like that. I do like that. Alright, so we're going to go through the skill trees now. We're going to start with the creative bursts. And see what we get from these ones. Ooh. I like the icons. That really, I like that. I like that. So this is how you can do multiple branches. You don't have to stick to one branch. Because I really didn't pay attention to that during Amon's. But you can do other branches. You see they have points. Those are probably passives and things like that. But you can put other points. You got 5 points there, that's active. Those aren't active, I don't think, because they're not the red. So those may just be part of that skill tree that you can only use there, and so on. But you can put multiple points in different branches, which I do like that. I was curious about that. And I'm sure you can put more in tree, because I know in the previous one you didn't have to stick just to the one skill tree, because there were some perks that were really good for certain and other skill trees. So I'm curious if you can do multiple skill trees like the other ones in Borderlands 1, 2, 3. Don't remember the pre-sequel that much. I haven't played it very much at all, so I'm curious how that one works. But we'll find out. All right, so we're gonna go through the skill trees, and then we'll go through the branches and go from there. All right, so this is the Creative Burst, which Creative Burst is the Chroma Accelerator, right? Yes, the Chroma Accelerator, which is the ice damage enemies and then explode radiation. Kind of cool. I do like that. All right, so we got Cyclotron. Harlowe gains increased fire rate. PPE. Harlowe gains increased maximum shield capacity and shield recharge. Field Ready Prototype. Harlowe gains increased action skill damage, which is good. Always good to have more action skill damage. Bleeding Edge. Passive. It's Harlowe gains increased reload speed. Void Star. It's an augment. Whenever Harlow's unstable energy pocket passes by an enemy, it loses a portion of its current total health and becomes frozen. Ooh. Do kind of like that. I don't know. I do kind of like that. Neutron Capture. All damage Harlow's unstable energy pocket deals to enemies is stored. Whenever it explodes, a portion that's stored in is transferred to Harlow's gun, causing her to deal bonus. Ooh. Kind of like that, too. Now, I need to verify this again. In most cases, only one augment is equipable at a time. Okay. So there are some things that you can have more than one augment. Most cases, it's one only, but I'm curious which ones classify as being able to use multiple, because it doesn't say, per se. I guess we really won't know until we start divvying out the skill points and going from there, but I am curious which augments we can use multiple augments for. Interesting. Okay. So we got Elementary. Harlowe gains increased elemental damage and status effect damage. Test subjects. Whenever Harlowe applies a status effect to an enemy, she gains increased action skill cooldown rate. Get up and go! Whenever Harlowe activates or retriggers an action skill, she gains increased movement speed. Elephant's Foot. Radiant, I'm guessing. Whenever... Radiation, not Radiant. God, I can't speak. Whenever Harlowe's shield breaks, she deals radiation damage to all entangled enemies. Harlowe gains overshield equal to the amount of damage dealt this way. Great Red Dot. Harlowe gains increased status effect duration and enriched. She gains increased radiation damage. Okay. She does a lot. So there's a few things with ice in this main skill tree. A few things for radiation. Like, this is the only thing I really see with ice, because this has radiation damage. That's radiation. That's radiation. That's not really radiation. So there's a few things radiation. But all right, let's go down to the branches and see which branch for this skill tree might be more viable, I guess, for that capstone. Honestly, it boils down to the capstone, which one's going to be the best for that skill tree, because it could be, just because of some of these passives and stuff are good doesn't mean that it's going to be a good capstone. Practical applications of passive. Harlowe gains increased skill damage. Field research. Whenever Harlowe kills an enemy with her unstable energy pocket, and when she kills an untangled enemy, her unstable energy pocket is active, refund a portion of her next skill cooldown. See, I don't think that'd be a good augment. I mean, it give you a chance to use her action skill more often. But other than that, I don't think that'd be a good augment to put on. There's better augments in the main branch that are better than that. All right. Lava floats their boat, I guess. Carry the one. Whenever Harlowe entangles an enemy, she gains a chance to entangle another nearby enemy. Core sample passive. Harlowe gains life steal against frozen enemies. Full health, she gains overshield. Perfect. That is great. And they got break the ice, convert all chroma accelerator damage to ice damage. Okay, so then this is where the ice really comes into play. Because then it wouldn't be radiation. All right, you got the passive opposing force. Whenever Harlowe freezes an enemy, she gains increased action skill. Cold welding. Cold welding. It's a passive and requires a point and carry the 1. And whenever Harlowe freezes an entangled enemy, it deals ice damage to itself and all other entangled. See, that's not bad. Be good for mob control as well. And you got Capstone, the Cue Ball. Harlowe's unstable energy pocket bounces as it travels. It can no longer be manually detonated. Each time it bounces, it creates a radiation explosion. Whenever it strikes an enemy, it changes direction and bounces towards another enemy. I kind of like that. That could be very interesting. Have some funny moments with that. Potentially going near. It could be real. That could be funny. Definitely some funny moments happening. All right, we got Branch 2. Poison Sun passive. Harlowe gains increased radiation and irradiation chance. So become radiated. Special purpose magnets. Harlow's unstable energy pocket pulls enemies along as it passes by and detonates. Deals increased damage for every enemy. So basically, a black hole. That would be a good augment, honestly. Just a black hole, just pull them and great mob control. Could be very good mob control. All right, glow up. Harlowe gains crit hit chance with guns against radiated enemies. Okay, so this glow up really goes hand in hand with Poison Sun. You get increased radiation damage and radiation chance, but then you get glow up and have both these maxed out. Plus, if trinkets are a thing or class mods are still a thing in this, having bonuses to that. I'm just hoping radiation's good in this, because radiation hasn't been really great. So I'm really hoping radiation, because they are making it a core to her skill tree, that is good. I hope radiation's good in this because of this. This could be interesting. Thistle launcher. Thistle. Whenever Harlowe damages an irradiated enemy or an entangled enemy, shoot a radiation dart. Got chain reactor. Harlowe deals damage bonus rate to entangled enemy. See, I really hope with this, with how it's so focused on radiation damage better be freaking good. Got dirty bomb. Whenever Harlowe irradiates an enemy, create irradiates. See what I mean? And then this passive, wasted, kill skill, killing a radiant enemy or killing an enemy with radiation damage, leave behind a radiation hazard. And we got Demon Core as the capstone. As Harlow's unstable energy pocket travels, it shoots radiant damage at enemies. Whenever Harlowe entangles an enemy while action skill is active, automatically irradiate the enemy. They had this one equipped, didn't they? They had this one equipped. They went down this skill tree and they got that. What is that one? What is that one in branch 1? Increased skill damage. Absolutely. They know what they were doing. They knew what they were doing. This one absolutely decimates the other one so far. I really hope they've added better damage for radiation is better. I really hope so with that. Holy crap. Alright, then we got branch 3, highly efficient. It's a kill skill whenever Harlowe kills an enemy with a skill, restore a portion of her shield capacity. Containment breach whenever Harlowe's unstable pocket detonates, it splits into several smaller, faster moving unstable energy pockets. And mechanical brilliance. Whenever Harlowe damages an enemy with skill, she gains increased skill damage. Eureka! Whenever Harlowe enters fight for your life, she throws a free unstable energy pocket at a nearby enemy if there are any. Rounding up, for every enemy or action skill damages, Harlowe gains increased gun damage when her action skill ends. Alternative fuel source. Whenever Harlowe activates Chrome Accelerator, drain her shield and her next unstable energy pocket. QED. Melee override. Harlowe tests an unstable energy pocket to her fist and slams it to an enemy in front of her. The Shattering Light. Charge skill. Chroma Accelerator gains charges as Harlowe keeps it ready for the duration of Chroma Accelerator until the charges are used. Holding X skill ends the Shattering Light early and refunds a portion of the cooldown for every charge remaining. Fire fast moving unstable energy pocket consuming its charge. Yeah, I really do think branch 2 in this one, hands down the best one it could be. They cooked. They absolutely cooked with that one. Alright, so let's go to the Seize the Day. Crap, we're still only on 1. Alright, so they went right side, branch 3. So whatever branch 3 is. They also got a lot of stuff in branch 2 though. Not branch 2, branch 1. So we'll see what those are for this one. This one is the 0 point. Basically the stasis bubble. Quantum Immortality. Whenever Harlowe entangles an enemy, she gains health regen. Parallel Circuit. After triggering and re-triggering action skill, Harlowe gains increased gun damage. Harlowe Pulse Overdrive. Harlowe gains increased action skill cooldown rate. Make Extraordinary. Harlowe gains critical hit chance with all skills. This chance increases every time Harlowe entangles an enemy. This effect can stack. Bright's Future. Whenever Harlowe triggers or re-triggers an action skill, she gains increased fire rate. Strange Attractor. Whenever Harlowe shoots an enemy with a gun, bullets ricochet off the enemy onto all enemies in stasis. Harlowe crits any of them. The enemy becomes entangled. Negative Entropy. Harlowe gains increased gun handling. This bonus doubles enemies in stasis. Peer Review Augment. Golly. Whenever an enemy enters stasis, spawn a homing rejuvenating projectile that targets Harlowe or her allies. When the enemy is slammed, killed, or stasis ends. Rejuvenating projectile grants decreased action skill duration rate and increased action skill cooldown rate for a duration. If the target is in fight for your life, they immediately gain second wind as if they killed it. Ooh, okay, she could definitely be your healer class with that. Oh, definitely a good one to do, especially on those higher tier difficulties. Like you do true Vault Hunter mode with I don't know if they're gonna have Mayhem or something on this, but doing something with that, oh yeah, that could be really good. Table Flip. Harlowe gains increased elemental damage, status effect, application chance, and Cryo effectiveness. Alright. Ripple Effect. Kill skill. Whenever Harlowe kills an entangled enemy, automatically entangle another nearby. Tool Coolant for Schoolant. Oh, God. Whenever Harlowe deals ice damage, gain increased action skill. Cryo Dynamics requires a point in periodic table flip. Oh, it's periodic table flip. Oh, whoops. Whatever. And increased ice damage. Branch 1. Concurrent. Harlowe gains increased action skill duration. Wildcat Destabilization. Entangled enemies take bonus radiation damage from Entangle. Whenever Harlowe deals radiation gun damage to an enemy, restore action skill duration. Whenever Harlowe kills an enemy in stasis, create a Radiation Nova. This Radiation Nova deals damage based on remaining action skill. Force of Will. Whenever Harlowe critically hits an enemy, enemies have decreased movement speed and attack speed. Days can stack. Okay. Control Group. It's a kill skill. Killing an entangled enemy restores a portion of Harlowe's action skill cooldown and action skill duration. Slingshot requires a point in Force of Will. Whenever Harlowe is an enemy, she also entangles them and she gains increased movement speed. Freeze Frame. Ba-doo-doo. Harlowe's guns deal Cryo damage for every enemy she has in stasis. And Stun Lock. Whenever Harlowe critically hits an enemy, she briefly puts the enemy in stasis. This form of stasis lasts for a short duration until the enemy is shot again. Could be potentially good. This means you gotta raise your crit, or chance to crit, up for this to really be very viable. And you got Falling Bodies. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. Pressing action skill replaces additional enemy in stasis at the cost of action skill duration when stasis ends. Automatically slam all enemies straight down. Okay. Unstable Isotope. Kill skill. Harlowe deals bonus ice damage with all sources. Cold storage. All damage dealt to enemies in stasis is stored whenever an enemy is slammed or stasis ends. Creates an ice explosion based on all stored damage and centered on the enemy. And also automatically freeze other enemies nearby. Keep ice on that one, don't you? All ice damage Harlowe deals gains lifesteal. If Harlowe's health is full, she gains overshield instead. Endothermic reaction. Whenever Harlowe freezes an enemy, create an endothermic aura that deals constant ice damage to enemies around it. Harlowe's endothermic aura deals increased damage based on her overshield. The more full, the greater the bonus. You got flash freeze. Whenever Harlowe deals ice damage with an action skill, she gains a chance to freeze that enemy. You got heat sink. Whenever Harlowe freezes an enemy, she gains increased action skill cooldown rate. Triple point. Whenever Harlowe deals non-ice damage to an entangled enemy, she deals bonus ice damage to the enemy. If she does ice damage, she deals increased bonus damage. Okay. We got cold plunge. Whenever Harlowe slams an enemy, creates a singularity on the enemy followed by an ice explosion. Alright, this is the branch they went down, so I'm curious what they did. What's this one so special about this one? Indiscrete math. Harlowe gains increased splash damage, inertia. Whenever an enemy Harlowe has in stasis dies, the new enemy is automatically added stasis. When this happens, Harlow's action skill duration resets, however, drains quicker. I can see why they have that one. I can really see why they'd have that one. Absolutely. Alright, we got experimentation. Kill skill, killing entangled enemy causes an elemental explosion on all other entangled. Yeah, this was the one, definitely, I feel like. Whenever Harlowe deals splash damage to an entangled enemy, she gains a chance to trigger entangled damage share again. Kill skill restores a portion of Harlow's action skill. Gordian Knot requires a point in experimentation. And whenever Harlowe kills an entangled enemy, she gains a chance to instantly full restore. Ooh, yeah. Chances to reuse your action skill more and more, as well as get more enemies and do more damage. Let's see what the capstone is to really push this over the top. Every time Harlowe slams an enemy, gain increased slam damage and slam damage radius. Enemies in stasis take decreased damage. Okay. Slam all enemies in stasis straight down. Alright. Not too bad, not too terrible. Could be better, but it's not terrible. Me personally, I still like the creative burst ones with the radiation. If that radiation damage is increased. Holy crap. And last but not least is the Cosmic Brilliance, which has the Flux Generator, which projects an energy field, dealing ice damage, and entangling. So, entangling, doing this with the last one, doing a lot of the entangling. Really, really good. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Alright, where'd they go? They went down the second tree. And the third a little. Well, they went down the third a lot. They went down the third a lot and have this, the middle one. I'm curious. So they have the augment from the main tree still, not the actual one. Okay. Manus Hum. Harlowe gains increased maximum shield capacity, increased maximum overshield. Personal observation. Harlowe deals increased melee damage or melee attacks, gain a chance to entangle enemies. Action at a distance. Whenever Harlowe applies a status effect to an enemy, she gains a chance to apply the status effect to each entangled enemy. Okay. Alright. Whenever Harlowe momentum. Whenever Harlowe entangles an enemy, she and her allies deal increased crit hit. Okay. Alright. We got mass function. Harlowe and allies gain increased reload speed for every entangled enemy. Ooh. Coronal mass ejection. Enemies inside Harlowe's flexion ring loses all elemental resistance. Harlowe and her allies inside her flexion ring gain increased status effect chance. Neutron decay. Whenever Harlowe radiates an enemy, she gains increased gun damage. Ooh, this effect can stack. See, this should be on the other skill tree because, yeah. Alright, so this is the augment they had called Blue Giant. Harlowe's flexion gains increased radius. Additionally, whenever she retrieves the flexion, she creates an ice hazard where her flexion was located and a radiation wherever she next places her. Only one of each of these hazards may be active at a time. Heat death. Harlowe gains increased ice efficiency. They're really pushing her with the radiation in this. Yeah, there's a lot of ice too, but there's more. I feel like there's more radiation focus on that first skill tree as well as this one with the flux generator and the blue giant. I can understand why they have that one. I like that one. Creative Overflow. Harlowe deals increased gun damage based on her overshield. The more overshield, the bigger the bonus. Figures. Resonance Cascade requires a point in neutron decay. Whenever Harlowe deals radiation damage, she gains increased skill damage. And it can stack. They're really pushing the radiation. Confirmative Reality. Whenever Harlowe shoots an entangled enemy, she and her allies restore a portion of her action skill. So that's one for everybody. Free for all. And then we got Absolute Zero. Whenever Harlowe frees an enemy, she receives a stack of 0 point. For every stack of 0 point, her action skill duration freezes an enemy for a short time. And they went middle, right? Yeah, they went second with the capstone. So. Blue Shift. When her action skill is cooling down, Harlowe deals bonus ice damage. When her action skill is active, Harlowe deals bonus radiation damage with her melee. On Unified Theory, Harlow's Flux Generator gains increased action skill damage. This effect is increased based on how many allies and enemies are inside her Flux Generator and Decoherence. Harlowe deals increased damage with all sorts of entangled enemies. Enemies inside of her Flux Generator take further increased damage. Latent Charge. Harlowe deals bonus damage with guns, melee, and action skills while she has Overshield. The more Overshield, the bigger the bonus. It's kind of given. If you have higher, more or something, it's going to give you more damage. Kind of obvious there. You got Feedback Loop. When Harlowe entangles an enemy, she can increase action skill damage, action skill duration, and action skill cooldown rate. This effect can stack. Potential Transference. Oh, that's the capstone. I don't want to read that yet. Hold up. Runaway Reaction. Harlowe gains increased status effect. Harlowe applies a status effect to an enemy. It becomes entangled. And finally, the Potential Transference. The capstone for Branch 1. Charge skill. Whenever Harlowe relocates her Flux Generator, it teleports to a location in her crosshairs, consuming a charge and creating a shock burst that deals shock damage to enemies inside of it. Grants a free second wind to allies and heals all it. This is definitely the healing class. Healing skill tree with that. This is absolutely the healing one with Potential Transference. Alright, so this is the one they went down. Branch 2. Gamma Ray Burst. Again, the radiation, they must have buffed it or something. Gamma Ray Burst. Whenever Harlowe re-triggers her action skill, the next shot fired from her gun drains her shield and deals bonus radiation based on the amount drained. Nuclear Winter. Whenever Harlowe and her allies are inside the Flux Generator's radius, they deal bonus ice. Whenever Harlowe and her allies leave the Flux radius, they instead deal bonus radiation damage for duration. Whenever Harlowe inflicts ice or radiation, the enemy becomes entangled. So it's not a bad one, but I really do think that Blue Giant is better, honestly. I do like the Blue Giant better than that. It's not bad. It's not a bad augment, but Blue Giant's better in my opinion. Harlow's Certainty Principle. She gains increased gun handling, which is further increased with every enemy in her Flux Generator. Really good for mobs then, for gun handling. Critical Funding requires a point in Harlow's Certainty Principle. Whenever Harlowe critically hits an enemy, she gains a chance to entangle it and reveals a portion of her gun's mag. It's not bad. And Jaunt. Personal melee attack to make Jaws place it with their Flux Generators. That's good too. I like that. Boop, 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 boop. But she's not melee focused. Or what you could do is, oh, those enemies are dead. Let me run up here, boop, boop, and swap places with it. Alright, got the Exposed Core point and Gamma Ray Burst. When her shield is down, Harlowe gains an increased status effect chance. Meltdown. Harlow's crit hits with guns deal bonus radiation. And Violent Horizon, the capstone they were using on this one. Harlow's Flux Generator occasionally shoots radiation projectiles at a nearby star. You can hear my kids in the background. If these projectiles radiate an enemy, the Flux Generator then drags them within the radius. Retrigger Harlow's Flux Generator creates a singularity burst that drags at nearby enemies' increased action skill power. Refraction. Alright, for Branch 3, we got Refraction. Harlowe and her allies gain ricochet chance against entangled enemies. Crit hits double this chance, and ricochets have reduced damage. Perpetual Engine. When Harlowe activates her Flex Generator, she gains damage reduction and increased action skill duration for each entangled enemy, and each additional enemy she entangles while her action skill is active in excited state. Harlowe gains increased crit hit damage whenever an enemy is damaged by Harlowe's action skill. The next shot on the enemy will automatic crit. Okay. Accretion. Assertion? Sure. Harlowe and allies gain lifesteal against entangled enemies. Distribution function. Whenever Harlow's action skill damages an enemy, restore a portion of her and all allies' shield capacity. If their shields are full, gain overshield instead. Pencils down. When Harlow's action skill is cooling down, she grants herself increased reload speed and fire rate. Annihilation. Harlow's Flux Generator occasionally throws grenades. If Harlowe and her allies are inside the Flux Generator and have a grenade equipped, it throws a copy of that grenade. And Group Study. Harlowe spawns a hollow sidekick for each ally instead of her Flux Generator. Hollow sidekicks automatically fly to each other ally and hover near them, granting increased gun damage, fire rate, and reload speed. Overload Harlow's Halo sidekicks increase their effects. This effect stacks Overload. I don't like that one. It's a cool concept, but I don't like it. It's like Guardian Angels, basically. I don't like it. Honestly, it would either be with this one, branch 2, with this subclass, with this skill tree, the Cosmic Brilliance, or was it Creative Burst? Yeah, Creative Burst with the second branch. Like, freaking phenomenal, especially if they buffed radiation damage. I will say that. So, Harlowe could be fun. I don't know. Now I'm kind of, I came into this, doing this, knowing who I wanted to play just because of how they looked. But doing this, I'm figuring out, maybe not. But I guess we'll figure out when I do the next one for Rafa and Vex to see who I'm going to be. But I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards Harlowe on this with the Chroma Accelerator and going down the radiation route just to see. But I don't know if radiation's been buffed or not. Because radiation was not that great in 3. But then again, there wasn't a lot of things great in 3. But the DLC really saved that game. But yeah, I'm very interested to see how this plays out. So we're going to continue this on, and we'll go with Rafa next, and then Vex, the baddie Siren. And maybe by the end of this, we'll figure out who we want to play as. So stick around, and if you like the content, make sure to drop a follow. And if you plan on playing Harlowe, let me know down in the comment. Thanks, y'all.